Hello everyone, and welcome to Dolly's Food Fusion, the cooking show where my husband and I attempt to recreate his family recipes.
Many of you know my mom's cooking from our previous videos. Now that we both are living in America and we really miss good Indian home cooking, we have decided to try it ourselves.
You are currently watching part 3 of our 5-part Durga Puja special. All this week we have been releasing delicious Kolkata street food recipes. You can check them out in the link up above. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We have plenty of videos coming up throughout the entire festival season that you won't want to miss. Today we are very excited to be making our all-time favorite food to eat during Durga Puja and otherwise, the famous Kolkata Phuchka. When it comes to street food, this chaat reigns supreme in both flavor and texture. And it's actually not too difficult to make at home as long as you follow our steps.
So what are we waiting for? Let's get cooking!
So as always, we're going to be starting with our ingredients. For the Phuchkas themselves, we're going to need 1/2 cup of coarsely ground suji or semolina. Make sure you get the coarsely ground variety. That way you can have fully puffed Phuchkas without the use of paprikad or baking powder. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of maida or all-purpose flour. And to this Phuchka dough, we're also going to be adding 1/4 cup of hot water, but we'll get to that in a second. Now moving on to the filling and the tok jol. We're going to be using 1/2 cup of matur dal or yellow peas soaked overnight and boiled, 1/2 cup of chola, also soaked overnight, 3 medium-sized potatoes. We're going to be boiling these as well. 1 medium-sized chopped onion, 1 lime, 1 small ball of tamarind, 1½ teaspoons of roasted red chili powder. You just dry roast these in a pan. 1½ teaspoons of roasted coriander powder, 1½ teaspoons of roasted cumin powder, some crushed green chilies, a handful or 2 of coriander leaves, 2 teaspoons of rock salt, 1/2 teaspoon of chaat masala, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Now I'll be showing you how to make our Phuchka dough. We're going to start with our 1/2 cup of suji or semolina. To this, add our 2 tablespoons of maida or all-purpose flour. Mix these 2 together well. Now we're going to add our 1/4 cup of hot water. Make sure that your measurements are accurate here so that we can get a nice firm dough. Mix these together roughly. And then go ahead and get your hands in there, and we're going to start kneading this. Make sure you're kneading this dough while it is still hot. We're just going to knead this for about 2 to 3 minutes. So this is going to be a firm dough. It won't be very soft, but when we're done kneading it, go ahead and put it back in your mixing bowl and cover, and we're going to let it rest for about 15 minutes. So it's been about 15 minutes, so now it's time to roll out our dough. Knead your dough again for about 1 more minute. Then just take a knife and cut it in half. Set the other half aside for later. Now we're going to sprinkle the surface of our rolling area with maida. Take your dough and press it down lightly. Then sprinkle the top with some maida as well. Now you want to make sure you're rolling this out nice and thin. When your dough becomes nice and thin, take a small bowl or cup about 6 to 7 centimeters in diameter and just cut some nice holes into it. Remove the leftover pieces, and you're left with a nicely formed Phuchka. Now it's time for the most crucial part of making a Phuchka, frying them. Make sure your oil is very hot, but not so hot that it's smoking. Set your stove to medium-high heat. Place your Phuchka in, and this next part is very important. Push down with your spoon. The more you push, the more it's going to puff. Continue to push until you have a fully puffed Phuchka. Then you can start splashing oil on the top so that both sides cook evenly. Flip it over and fry until both sides are golden. When it's done, shake off the excess oil and place it on a plate with some paper towels. You can continue frying them one at a time, but if you gain some confidence, you can also do multiples. And that's it! Congratulations! You've made some beautiful puffy Phuchkas. We're just going to put these in our oven at the lowest setting for 30 minutes. If you don't have an oven, that is totally okay. You can also set them outside in the sun for a few hours.
Now the hard part is over. All we need to do is to make the filling and the tok jol. Starting with the tok jol, we start with soaking the tamarind in 1 cup of warm water. Use your hand to mix well and squeeze out the pulp. Now pour it into a large mixing bowl. Keep some aside for the aloo filling. Now add 1 liter of water. Add 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of rock salt. Now add half teaspoon of chaat masala. Half teaspoon of roasted cumin powder. Half teaspoon of roasted coriander. half teaspoon of roasted chili powder, small amount of crushed green chilies, some chopped coriander leaves, and juice of half of a lime. Leave the squeezed lime in the tamarind water. Mix well, and if you like the spicier street version, you can add more chilies. Now we move on to making our filling. Take the boiled potato and mash it. We are going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of rock salt, 1 teaspoon of roasted coriander, 1 teaspoon of roasted cumin, half teaspoon of chaat masala, 1 teaspoon of roasted chili powder, 2 teaspoon of crushed green chilies, and add a handful of chopped coriander leaves. Mix together well with your hand. Now add some chopped red onions and mix well. Add rest of the tamarind water and mix well. Squeeze half of a lime into the mixture. Now we are going to add half cup of motor dal and we are going to add half cup of chola dal, mix well again, but be careful not to crush the dals. And we are done. Now we can have a phuchka.